Sometimes you see a movie that you feel like no one else has seen, and it's not true, because all movies have been seen by several people. Plus, depending on where you grew up, you have different references. I grew up in Sweden, so obviously there's some movies over here that more people have seen, but maybe someone in Canada, if they happen to see it, they would see it as an obscure foreign film. Other times there are movies that are pretty famous internationally, but it's just that no one in your personal life has seen it. Take Me and Little Shop of Horrors, for example. Little Shop of Horrors is a famous movie that many have seen, but it's just that from the people I personally know, no one except like people related to me has seen it. And I don't have many friends that like musicals. Besides, I get very annoying when I watch it. I don't know. I don't know. You'll be a bandit. Pain. Not to mention, I love to bring up the facts about the puppetry behind the plant and how the movie has two different endings depending on the version you're watching, and I laugh a bit too much at Arthur Denton and the way he freaks out the freakiest dentist in the world. Many people also claim The Brave Little Toaster is a movie no one has seen but them. But also enough people claim that to the point it makes me feel it's actually a pretty well-known movie. It just happened that everyone who watched it didn't want to share that they watched it as kids because they got traumatized by it. This movie is a fever dream. But let me go through some movies that for me specifically are movies no one else has seen. Maybe they're more popular somewhere else in the world or more popular with people nearby me that I don't know about, but for me, basically no one else has seen them. Starting with Napoleon. Napoleon is an Australian film about a golden retriever that is named Muffin by everyone. I watched the Swedish dub, and in the Swedish dub he is named Cookie instead. But he wants to be called Napoleon, and one day he sits in a basket of balloons and just flies off. And he flies all the way to the Australian wilderness, and he tries to live as a wild dog and be brave and well, it's a classic talking animals movie, but what is interesting with this one is that I grew up on like the Air Buddies movie, so I have seen plenty of talking golden retrievers, but those are slightly more animated. This movie does not bother to animate any animals, they just let the animals walk around as they please and just dub over their voices. I have to say, watching the Swedish dub, this is very niche, because only a few people here might have seen this movie, and even fewer might have seen the Swedish dub. But the Swedish dub of this movie, first of all, has one of the best, like, dubbing performances ever from the guy that voiced this fuck-ass lizard.
Vad tycker du?
But it also has one of the worst dubbing works in all of Swedish dubbing history to the guy that voiced this fucking kangaroo.
Reser du med känguru, det går som snor. Oj, färdas med en känguru.
Anyway, it's a pretty sweet movie if you just want to watch like animals run around for an hour. But I also feel like there's better talking animals movie out there. Not saying that Air Buddies is a good example, but well, I know that there are talking animal movies out there that I have seen that are good. I can't say any one right now that isn't a Disney film, but well, Cats and Dogs. Cats and Dogs is a very good talking animals movie. Okay, the next one I want to talk about is Lady Oscar. I have talked about The Rose of Versailles like more than I thought I would do on this channel, because Rose of Versailles isn't like even my favorite work of Ryoko Ikeda. Like, my favorite work of Ryoko Ikeda is Onisama E, and I have barely talked about Onisama E even though it's my favorite, because I have always managed to like talk about Lady Oscar or The Rose of Versailles, mostly because there's more adaptations of that, and this happens to be the live-action adaptation that came out before the anime came out. I didn't even know this movie existed until my friend was like, hey, did you know this live-action Lady Oscar movie? And I was like, what? So we watched it together, and it wasn't a good movie, but also it was highly entertaining. The basic story, if you don't know the story about The Rose of Versailles or Lady Oscar, it's about a girl named Oscar that is born to a man that wanted a son, but because he only has daughters, he decides that his last born daughter is going to be raised as a son. And so he names her Oscar, and she is raised as a boy. And later becomes a royal guard for Marie Antoinette. Something I do like about this movie is like the detail that they casted an actual Austrian to play Marie Antoinette. And she apparently died a month after this movie came out. And they also casted an actual Swede that played Axel von Fersen. There's a scene where Oscar gets drunk and sword fights a bunch of guys in a bar. She makes out with a woman in a scene. That's nice. All the men are in love with her because of her beauty and skills, and all the ladies are in love with her because they see her as a man, or I guess. This movie is a mess, but I kinda enjoyed it, even though it was a mess. The next movie I want to talk about is a much more obscure one. It's a Swedish animated movie that not many Swedes have seen. Now, the animation industry in Sweden is not big to begin with, and that's mainly because we're a pretty small country, and making animated movies wouldn't really profit for us that much. Which is pretty sad, because, some of us like animation, but we have made a few. I mean, there's some Swedish cartoons that aired on TV that I talked about in another video. And we have made some movies too. Often when we do make animated movies, we collab with other countries so that the budget can be higher. But there is one Swedish movie that only got released in Sweden and in Finland, because I know there's a Finnish dub, and also Letterboxd is filled with Finnish reviews. And that movie is called Rottis. And Rottis only had 3 animators for the whole film. 3 animators. So this was certainly a passion project, and I really respect them for that. This movie is also such a mess, and also, due to the very low budget, sometimes characters just disappear out of thin air. The story is basically, there's a rat named Rottis that just lives his everyday life. He's the oldest out of a bunch of rats. I know that rats can get multiple babies at once when they give birth, but I like the concept of Rottis being a single birth, and then his parents waited a bunch of years until they got a litter of rat siblings for him at the same time, because all of his little siblings seems to be around the same age. And it's one of those movies where things just happen. I mean, Rottis goes out, he meets another rat, and they start crushing on each other, and they want to go out on dates, and it's very just first love. And at the same time, just random stuff happens around the house, some hedgehog comes over and asks for a sugar cube, and then they have a bunch of shenanigans where they try to give him a sugar cube while they trip everywhere. Everything is alive in this movie. The piano is alive, the little dust people are alive, and they plan a revolution against the vacuum. They cuss a lot in this movie. And I know that in some countries, cussing would not be very appropriate for a children's film. But in Sweden, they fucking swear all the time in children's movies. Yeah, there's a whole section where the parents believe that Rottis and his girlfriend are having sex in his room, and so they try to have a talk with him, and all of his little siblings come up and just yell a bunch of curse words for genitals.
Kuk! Skärp
Nej. Jag tycker att du...
For kids? ? there's some guy on like a motorcycle that like tries to hit on his girlfriend against her consent. So Rottis like tries to Rottis defends her by having a full like concert at a parking lot, and like all the lamps start singing with him. The moon is also alive, and they hush the moon to stop singing. They break the fourth wall so much in this movie, and it's just like random scenes that are tied together. And you know what? I can see the vision of like a small group of people that like came up with the concept about a little rat that just lives in a anthropomorphic world, and just talked about, okay, what scenes should we include? And then it's just like a things just happen movie, you know, where things just happen. It's an everyday life with like an adding of random musical outbreaks and fourth wall breaks and quirky characters that come out of nowhere to say weird one-liners and then leave. It's a fever dream movie for sure, but I enjoyed myself a lot. Now it's time to talk about a Disney Channel film. Yeah, a Disney Channel film. You think that you know about most Disney Channel films. Most people, they know about High School Musical, they know about Teen Beach Movie, they know about Descendants, they know about How to Build a Better Boyfriend. They know about Phineas and Ferb Across the Second Dimension, which I will include in my like DCOM, because it aired on Disney Channel first, and I was so excited when Phineas and Ferb Across the Second Dimension came out. And like, I haven't watched all DCOMs, I have barely watched Descendant, I have not watched Teen Beach Movie, I have watched High School Musical, but that's just because we happen to own all three of them on DVD. But there is one special Disney Channel movie that no one, not even in America, seems to know about, and that's mainly because it came out in like the year 2000 and has barely been airing on TV since, and doesn't seem to have much of a DVD release, and I found it just lying like on a list on Disney Plus, and I was like, what is this movie? Never heard of it, let's watch it. It's called Quints. Quints is a Disney Channel movie about a 14-year-old girl that gets quintuplets as siblings. And the premise may sound like your standard I got a new sibling movie where the main character gets a new sibling, hates their new sibling for taking away all their attention, and then they learn to appreciate their new sibling. We have seen that plot before, and they describe it like that in the title as well. But if you actually watch the movie, that's not exactly what happens here. First of all, because the main character is 14 years old, she's a teenager. She's a bit too old to be jealous of some babies. And also she kind of likes to not get any more attention because parents basically gave her all the attention before. What instead is up with this is that she spends the movie kind of being a justice warrior for her baby quintuplets. You see, because they are babies, they are pretty much being treated like a unity, you know, the quints. They are babies, they need to be taken care of, but she thinks that they are treating them too much like a unity and not like 5 individuals. So she spends the movie being like, no, don't treat it like just baby number 1. Treat it like Adam because he has a name. She like switches the babies in their cribs to make her parents like confused and like, do you even know your own children, or do you only see them as a unit? And like, I get where she's coming from, but it's just that the quintuplets are babies and they are like 5 months old at most, and they don't have any personalities because they are just babies lying there in their bassinets. Which, by the way, like, they never, like, take these babies out from their, except for, like, the end when they have to bring them to, like, some gala. But do the babies ever, like, get to, like, get out of their nursery? Like, are they just lying there in their bassinets the entire time? Because, you know, it's good to, like, let babies, like, explore surfaces and, like, maybe hold them a bit more. They are like newborns in The Sims 4. They're just lying there. And besides that, there's also like this super creepy art teacher that like really wants the main characters to focus on art. And he's like, I don't trust this guy. There's something with this guy's vibe that like makes me feel nauseous. There's also like this businessman that like sells like diapers for the quintuplets in exchange for the parents like making commercials with them so they can get money because, you know, they need money when they have 5 babies at home. And the main character thinks that like this is wrong to like exploit these babies like this, but like do you know how expensive diapers are? Like, I don't have any babies myself, but like, if I had multiples, I would love if someone like sponsored me with free diapers so that I can like save some money. She also hates that like reporters are coming to like interview the parents about being like quintuplet parents because she once again thinks that they are like treating the queens as a unit and exploit them in the media, which once again they're like, quintuplets are very rare, so if someone gives birth to quintuplets again, yeah, of course newspapers will talk about it. She also like gaslights the audience all the time because she talks to the audience. She's like talking to the camera a lot. But the thing is that she so often just says something and then go, did you really believe that? So like she can just tell us all kinds of things and then being like, that didn't happen. Did you really think that was gonna happen? Come on. Don't you know by now? I'm just joking. Like, shut up and let me watch the movie. At this point, I'm like, do you even have quintuplet siblings? Or are you just making it up to, like, fool us? Personally, if I wrote this movie, I would have rather have it be, like, when the quintuplets are, like, a bit older. So we can, like, see their clear personalities and, like, maybe have it focus much more on like their bond with their bigger sister and with each other and stuff like that, because now it's just 5 babies and I don't know who's who. Even if their sister tried to tell me who was who. They do name the quintuplets like in alphabetical order from like A to E. And that was like one of the few like jokes I laughed about in the movie when their dad like comes to announce the names of the babies.
It's a boy!
Adam! Yes! It's a boy!
Becky!
It's a girl! It's a girl!
Charlie!
This one's name is Charlie.
Good luck, Charlie. I feel like you're having middle child syndrome already at birth. Yeah, I think there's a reason that no one remembers this Disney Channel movie, but yeah, I never heard of it when I was little, and I only found out because I found it on Disney Plus like 3 years ago, and thought it looked weird, so I watched it, and it was weird, and yeah, I have no one to talk to about this movie because no one else has seen it. I feel like it's forgotten for a reason. There is, of course, a lot of other movies that I have seen but no one else has seen. But the video might be super duper long, and also I have forgotten some titles right now. So if you would like a part 2 with even more movies that I have seen but basically no one else has seen, leave a comment. And also leave a comment if there's any movie that you have seen that you feel like no one else has seen. And I'll see you again next time. Goodbye.